What's going on, Saber fans? So today's video, we are going to do a speaker shootout. So I reached out to Sabertrio a few weeks back, and I wanted to see if I can purchase some of their newer 22mm Veco speakers. Now, if anybody that doesn't live under a rock and knows who Sabertrio is and what happened over the past 6 months, what Sabertrio did was going forward as of late 2001, they started shipping all their lightsabers with 22mm Veco speakers instead of the standard 28mm bass speakers. Now, from Sabertrio, they did say, I believe it was either on a Facebook post or maybe it was an Instagram post or one of their emails, they did mention that these are not your standard Veco 22mm speakers. These are special, not to say proprietary, but they were specially made just for Sabertrio, and they were spec'd to rival a larger 28mm bass speaker. So what I did, I went and purchased 10 of these speakers. And what we're gonna do is, well, hopefully I can take one out before they don't move around on me, because all this magnetism, they just tend to jump around. So I purchased 10 of these speakers, and what we're going to do is trying to do a scientific method, let me just set this down, of speaker swapping and comparing them with other speakers. Now, if you've already researched a little bit on YouTube, there's already a couple of users out there, I believe like Knit the Grit, Nate Donovan did a video. Also, Jason Sawyer, CBR Sawyer, did a video on the shootout of the 22mm Sabertrio Veco versus 28mm bass speakers. So, but in this video, what I want to do is I want to shoot out the 22mm Sabertrio versus standard smaller speakers like the 24mm. So what we're going to do to keep this as scientific as possible is I'm going to grab 3 hilts and literally record some audio with each of them, swap out the speaker in that same exact hilt. So this way you don't hear any differences between the hilts. It's going to be the same speaker swapping in the same hilt, so nothing changes but the speaker. So we'll go through the speaker rundown real quick. So in here I've got an Ahsoka Tano speaker, and this one is outfitted with a 24mm Smugglers Outpost Elite. So we're going to swap it out with the Sabertrio 22mm and see what it sounds like in comparison and do a side-by-side with this. Another one that we're going to do, here's a Qui-Gon hilt. Now this is going to be a special shootout because in here is a standard Veco 22mm speaker. So I'm hoping to hear a difference between this and the so-called Sabertrio modded one, because I want to see if they're actually just shipping a standard Veco 22s and saying it's special when it's in fact just the standard one that you can buy anywhere else. So we're going to compare that with this one in the very same hilt. I'm going to literally unsolder it, put it in, and do audio comparisons. And then lastly, this is just an LGT saber that I built, and it's got a stock LGT 24mm bass speaker. And we're gonna, once again, record some audio with this, unsolder the speaker, solder in the new Veco Sabertrio 22, and record some audio and compare it side by side. So we're gonna shoot these out and let's see what the hype is with this new speaker, if it's in fact special or not. So let the games begin. Okay, so there you have it. Final thoughts, what I think. It's probably hard to hear the little nuances on camera versus right here in front of you in real life, because I'm only using this little lavalier mic and then whatever the mic is on my cell phone that's capturing this video to capture the audio, so it's not going to be as lush in real life, but hopefully this does some justice. So what did I think of the results? I would say the Sabertrio version Veco is not that great. It's really not. It's for people in the community that put up a huge tizzy about, oh my god, they went from a 28mm bass speaker to these little speakers, and Sabertrio's like, everybody just calm down, these are great speakers. No, they're not. They suck, in my opinion. They did outbeat the standard Veco 22mm just by a little bit. I would say the sound differences between them, it's almost like they took the regular Veco speaker and just threw in just a touch more low-end bass, but the volume wasn't that significant. It still had that really crisp, clear, you know, pristine kind of glassiness that the original Veco had, but the original Veco just sucked in my opinion because it's so overly treble, and there was no bass whatsoever. There's like almost a scoop in the mid-range, so it was just all treble. So this new Sabertrio speaker is, they literally took that sound signature and just amplified the bass a little bit. So now you have this insane amount of treble and now a nice decent amount of bass, but you still have this big scoop in the mid-range where you don't hear any of the aggressiveness or the mid-range growl or the push or the body of the lightsaber, because there's such a huge scoop in the mid-range on the new Sabertrio speaker. So in comparison to the LGT, I mean, hopefully the video picked it up. The LGT stock, you know, 24mm, which people just rave that they suck, outbeat the Sabertrio 22mm. It was louder, and it had the nice mid-range, you know, push and forwardness to make it even feel even louder. Granted, yes, it was a little bit duller sounding. It wasn't as crisp and clear, but it was louder, and it had more mid-range push, so it made the speaker just really sound more alive. And then comparing it to the Smugglers Outpost 24mm Elite, I mean, that was a no-brainer. That thing just stomped all over it. I mean, it was louder. It had the mid-range push in the growl. It had the top-end bite. It had the bass. Everything was perfectly linear and flat with just such great push. Between all the speakers that I've tested, I mean, if your hilt can only fit like a 24mm or smaller, just go with the Smugglers Outpost Elite. That's just a no-brainer. It's the best one that I've ever tested, and it still stands true. I keep testing more and more speakers, trying to find something that can outbeat the Smugglers Outpost, and nothing can. Obviously, if your hilt can fit a 28mm, yes, by all means, go big. Don't try and downgrade to a 24 or a 22. Just go 28mm. Those still will be better. But yeah, that's my thoughts on all the speaker. Like, so now I have 10 Sabertrio speakers that I'm kind of just gonna put on the shelf and not use because they suck. I don't want to say they suck. It's just like, if your hilt can only accommodate a small, tiny 22mm and nothing else will fit, yes, that's better than the standard Vecos. The Sabertrio Veco is a noticeable upgrade, but comparison to standard 24mm or 28mm, there's no comparison. They still outperform by a large margin, in my opinion. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching the video, and have a great day.